You've got $1,000 to $1,200 to spend on a new Fender Telecaster, but which one should you get? The new Player Plus that Cooper's got, or the venerable made in the good old USA Performer Tele that I have in my hot little hands? We're going to break it down for you, so stay tuned. Hey, you're watching Alamo Music TV. My name's Chris McKee.
And I'm Cooper Greenberg.
We're here with Alamo Music Center in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos. If you want to support the channel or just look cool around town, visit our spring store link below for custom designed t-shirts, like our storefront shirt that I'm wearing. And you're not, so I'm cooler today. Sorry.
Tacovas, dude. Yeah? Tacovas. You got to get your whole wardrobe from there. We're doing a collab. Tacovas X.
That'd be
Alamo
lucrative.
Music. Yeah.
So we've got two Telecasters, some Telecasters today, and they're both great guitars. So this is actually, I don't think, a very clear-cut, decisive video on which one's better, but we're going to break it down.
I'll tell you.
So we wanted to do this video when these first came out, but 2021 being what it is, we didn't have any of these in stock.
Yeah.
And we do again. So if you've been looking for an American Performer, we've got some again, finally. But this is actually a very good comparison because they're very close in price. This one is still more expensive, but this is the new kid on the block with a lot of great features going for it. Mm-hmm. And so we got to break it down feature by feature and see which one makes the most sense for the right player.
Yeah. You know, before we even dive in, I want to address the Palfaro elephant in the room.
Yes.
These aren't the same fretboard, all right? And
that's not Palfaro?
I don't know, because some of it's been getting pretty light recently.
It's very dry.
I will say, I know, all right, we already know.
Yeah.
I chose this for a couple reasons. One, this is the only Tele that we have in stock right now, American Performer, vintage white maple neck and fretboard. And then I chose this one because we haven't been able to see the silver smoke on camera yet. And you got to show off the silver smoke. We finally got them in. These were like some of the last Player Plus to roll in. Yeah. It looks pretty good, and it's really, I mean, part of it is a sound comparison, but it's really not. You know, pickups are so different. Everything's a little different on these guitars. So it's a very menial change between Palfaro versus the maple, but just want to get that out there.
Before the angry messages that we're still going to get?
It's like, come on. Because I know when we get those that you didn't watch the whole video because we always mention it. You know,
there you go.
We always know.
We know who you are.
But, so tell me about the American Factory's redheaded stepchild over there.
It is a bit of a redhead stepchild. So the American Performer replaced the American Special that preceded it. Effectively the same thing with some new features, some new pickups that came along with the name change. But what that previous series and this series has always been is the best value from the American Factory in Corona, California. And so to do that, there's some things that are on this guitar, or there's some things that are on an American Pro 2 model that you don't get on this guitar. So one is a case. That right off the bat. Cases on their own are about $200 from Fender, roughly. And so that's part of it. The hardware is different.
You get a gig bag.
You get a gig bag. Yeah, good point. The hardware is different. It's basically more vintage. Mm-hmm. And I've always found that this line tends to kind of lean in that direction, lean into a lot of the vintage specs. And there's just fewer options. So by having fewer colors available, fewer, what's the word I'm looking for, configurations available, they're able to offer these guitars at a really, really good price point. And so what you get is a vintage-inspired Tele that is made in the USA with a gig bag and some unique touches. The biggest thing on this alder-bodied vintage white Tele that is unique to it for the Performer series is the pickups. These are the Yosemite pickups, and these are Tim Shaw designed pickups specifically for the series that try to mix vintage and modern. So they've got a bit of growl to them, a bit more output to them, but they can sound when you back off the pot, which is also a grease bucket circuit, very, very nice. And you don't lose that high end when you come down in volume, things like that. But you're going to get vintage style tuners, which I like.
Yeah.
I've got, my Tele has F-style tuners. And if you're not familiar with these, they have basically a hole in the shaft So you cut the tuner to length, you put it down, you bend it over, and you tune it up, and it effectively locks it in, and that's what those old vintage F-style tuners did. So I like those. It's got the brass bullet saddles, which again, on a Tele, I like. And then it's basically straight away. It's your 3 selections. You know, you've got the neck pickup, you've got both, and you got bridge. You got all you need.
You do.
You really do. And a gig bag, which sometimes I actually prefer to a case.
Yeah.
Just being honest. That's why they call it a gig bag. If I'm going to a gig, it's easier.
It's thrown in a bag. So on this one, you got all you need, but do you have all that you want?
And there is the rub.
So over here, we got the Mexican Ultra and the Player Plus series. It's just a little bit nodding towards the modern in all of those areas that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So
it is definitely a more modern Tele.
Locking tuners, opposite end of the spectrum from the F style. You have
you call these manually locking tuners.
Yeah, you manually got to lock them up. The very comfortable. One of my biggest problems, which we'll get into this more in a bit with the playability, but that style of the kind of ashtray type thing is not as comfortable to me.
If you're palm muting?
Yeah, when you're palm muting. Obviously, brass saddles is kind of the way to go.
Well, they sound good, but you cannot intonate these as well as individual saddles.
Yeah. So you got the 6 saddles versus the 3 on the tree. Noiseless pickups. You have, I don't know.
It's actually a really nice neck. I was noticing that earlier when we started, like some flamage.
It's totally flamage. And I don't know. It just feels, I kind of like a tinted maple a little bit more with the satin. I think it looks nice. That's a very bare looking neck. And it looks like we're looking, this is not a roast of the American Performer, but with this color combo, it's a thick 1-ply pickguard that's like bright white.
Yeah.
And then you got vintage white, and then you got something that looks like you mixed them as the color of the maple. It's just like a little bit of a...
It's a very pale color combo.
You got a monochromatic guitar over here. And then on the other hand, the Player Plus threw some really wild colors into the mix. So you have the change the gradient direction in Photoshop kind of finish from burst to up and down. Yeah. But then you got the Cosmic Jade, you got Opal Spark. Yeah. It's really a real modern forward-thinking guitar. And
can't leave out the belly carve.
You can't leave out the belly carve, which is comfortable, and on your knurled cat down there, you got a little push-pull, throw these guys in series, get some fat tone.
And I've said when we first did this that I have a Tele that has series as an option, and it's great.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a really nice thing to have.
If you don't know what that is, series, usually in your middle position, like on this one, it's both pickups on in parallel. In series, they gain stage one another, and it's like a wide range humbucker. So it's a lot. It's beefier, it's girthier, as Gregory Conkery would say. It's got some gristle to it. You know, a lot more output.
So the difference is too on here when you do pull that switch, wherever you are in the 3-way selector, it'll throw you into that position. So it's a lot like an Ultra too, Yeah. But you can be, as you'll see in the demo, I'm going to work through all 3 of them by themselves, and then at the end pull it out. I'm in that bridge position, but it throws you in the series. So it's just a nice little thing to have, kind of like when you're ready to jump into a solo and you need something fat, wherever you are, pull it out, you're good to go.
And this comes with a gig bag too, doesn't it?
I think it's the same gig bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, which it's nice, it's cool. I think both of them at this price deserve a hard case, but that's just me. Obviously,
I have the opinion that every guitar should come with a case or gig bag, period.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But that's not the world we live in. So
it's just, so let's hear some demos, and then we'll talk about, my opinions, because I'm pretty opinionated. I'm thinking you probably are too, but let's do it.
All right, let's hear it. Okay. You played both guitars. There's your demos. Now let's hear your opinion.
Okay, so when we first got these in, we didn't have American Performers at the time. They've been out of stock. And so all we had to compare them to were Players, American Pro 2s, Ultras, Ultra Lux, Squires, whatever you want. So there was a lot of stuff to compare it to, except for the one that's probably closest to it in price.
Closest in price, yeah.
Yeah. And I can now say definitively, because I predicted this, I would take a Player Plus any day over the American Performer. I'm so happy with how this guitar feels. I think it's just wild that it's priced lower than that. But there is one little thing that I would say this one holds over it, and it's the Yosemite pickups.
Okay.
I don't know if it's coming across in the demo, but the bridge pickup is probably the most important pickup on a Telecaster.
Yeah.
Everywhere else, and especially with the option of the push-pull, this one takes the cake, but I just like the sound of that bridge pickup a little bit more. I think it had a little, these are noiseless, those are not noiseless. This had a little more of that classic Tele, like it's bright, but it's 20, but it's not sharp,
Yeah.
This one is a little sharp for me. I'm sure with like different EQing on the amp, it was just everything straight up. You could counteract that. You could add a little more bass and mids into it, but it just felt a little shrill in the bridge position. So it's tough because you're buying a Tele for the Tele.
Yeah.
You're not buying it for locking tuners and a more comfortable neck and body and look and a good look and all that.
All those things are important.
They're all important, but really when it comes down to it, you're trying to get the sound.
Yeah.
I just can't get over what I think just doesn't look as good as it could.
You could swap it for a black guard.
I think a tortoiseshell would look really great on that, and that's kind of what I.
There you are again, advocating to kill more faux tortoises.
I mean, luckily PETA got a hold of Martin on that one. But no, I think it's just wild, and I think that if the United States annexed Mexico or vice versa, and the factories were in the same country, I think that this guitar would be the same price as like a Pro 2 or something. I think that it's where we're at right now. This is a steal for the money.
And so that's kind of the difficulty here. That guitar just came out. This guitar hasn't had a refresh. It's been out for a bit. It will get refreshed at some point. And when it does, what are they going to do to move it along, but still keep it a value made in the USA guitar that's not encroaching upon the American Pro 2 line? It'll be like the Performer 2 line given their current naming system. But that is a question. But what I have found is that your opinion of like the bridge pickup is a lot of guys' opinions. Like if you buy a Tele, you want a Tele.
Yeah.
And as you make that Tele more modern, it moves further away from what a vintage Tele is. Your point about the Yosemite pickups, I think, is on point. But I think the other point that gives this the sound is the bridge.
Yeah.
The bridge on a Telecaster with the pickup, we often, I'm a big proponent of looking at things as like a whole system, and that's part of it. You have a huge kind of system of electromagnetism here with that massive bridge, with that big pickup. These pickups are bigger than the normal bobbins of a single coil, you know? And so that's going to give you that sound. So if you move or change some of those things, it's going to change it a bit. Whether it's changing it for better or for worse is the opinion of the player.
Yeah. I mean, I think that this is the perfect Telecaster to show that Teles don't have to be just for country, because this would probably really excel with lots of rock music and jazz music and, even blues and all that kind of stuff. But if you really need that Tele twang, you're going to want to go for an American Pro 2.
For a value-oriented option for it. But I think you and I are on the same page. The Player Plus is a really, really good value option, just like the Players are.
Yeah.
I mean, the product that Fender is putting out from Mexico is just stellar.
Yeah.
And this is really the Mexico Ultra.
It's wild, and I would like to see, who's to say when we'll see Performer Strats, coming in. I'd like to compare those two because I don't know, it's tough. We did our top fives, and the Player Plus Nashville, one of my favorites that came out this year. The Tele, just standard Tele, is great too. Strat is the one that might, for me, be more of a competition. I don't know, but
well, yeah. I mean, I have opinions on that because I'm a big Strat guy.
Yeah.
I don't like the big headstocks on the Performer series. Never liked the big headstocks. It is what it is. It's not like it makes it less of a guitar. Just aesthetically, I don't like it. But I otherwise like those guitars a lot.
Yeah.
However, I had on my top 5 the Player Plus Strat. Just an incredible guitar, incredible value for the money. I think when you start moving up in lines like this from a very, very robustly featured, value-oriented guitar like a Player Plus to something like a Pro 2 or an Ultra, it's the little things that you're nitpicking on that only seasoned players or would really benefit from. There's guitars that I own that when I pick up another guitar, it's like night and day. Yes, this is such a better guitar, but the gap is closing pretty rapidly.
Yeah, for sure.
So
it's just wild. But I mean, they're both Fender. They're both Telecasters. They're not. It's not anything too wild. I think probably the polarizing kind of thing. A lot of people would choose one over the other. Classic, but maybe a little uncomfortable and not as cool looking.
Yeah, I think Classic summarizes this. I think it's got a good action, it's got a good setup. It doesn't have rounded features and stuff.
That hurts.
It doesn't bother me, but I'm used to it.
I'm a little wuss then.
I have manly calluses.
Yeah. That's soft. That's soft.
Stop using all the hand lotion.
Okay.
So,
so, I mean, come on, look at that neck.
But this is polarizing on the other side. So people are there's going to be people that look at that finish and hate it.
Well, I don't like the finish.
And look at every other finish that they do and absolutely hate it.
You got 3-color sunburst. It's nice. It looks good. Yeah. There's a finish for everybody in the Player Plus. This is just I picked this one because I'm like, we got to at least see what that looks like.
But there's people that will love this.
Yeah.
And I think that deals with it. This is for a modern Tele player that likes this particular aesthetic and wants these features. And your curmudgeon who wants a black Telecaster or Blackguard or a 60s White Guard or whatever, this will appeal to them.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what it probably comes down to. And they'll pay $300 more to have this since it's made in the USA.
I know that customer.
So there you have it. I want to hear all of their opinions.
Yeah.
So drop us a line and tell us what you think is better. Go ahead and also tell us your age and your sexuality and where you live. And actually, if you just tell us that, we'll probably guess which one you like better. Don't forget your mother's maiden name, high school mascot, and last 4 of your social.
So Chris can hack your Facebook.
Touchy subject. So anyways, but no, seriously, drop us a line in the comments. Let us know your opinions on the two. $300 more for the US-made Performer with arguably fewer features, or would you go and save money and get the $999 Player Plus Telecaster and just enjoy whatever finish you get and laugh all the way to the bank with your extra $300 for an amp? That's a very, very compelling argument.
Get yourself a GTX.
There you go. So let us know in the comments below. If you're new to our channel, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, like the videos, and keep coming back for more. At the end of the day, the best guitar in the world is the one you're playing, which is the one you want. So opinions matter. Tell us yours. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.